All right, you maggots, listen up. Now, I always say I always tell you guys that I'm into stuff more than other people are. Other people buy stuff, they stroke it, and that's the video. Now, what you're looking at, many of you are like, I don't know what I'm looking at. Well, this is an EEprom eraser. And you're going to say, what do you mean? Well, old school stuff. Here's an EEprom. All right, let's just say this is a 2716. There's a 2708, which was like 8K. It would be 8 by 1K, so it would be a 2708, I believe. 2716 is 8, 16K by 8, something like that. Anyway, it comes in many flavors, and this one here is a 5 volt. Once it's programmed, it can interface with 5 volt logic. But during the program process, this particular unit has to have 21 volts on one of the pins, only during programming. And then when you switch off programming, you put 5 volts positive on that pin, whatever the pin is. Look it up, 2716. And there are 2716s that can be programmed with just 5 volts on the pin. A couple manufacturers made them that way, but it's got a glass window on there. And after you program it, you darken it up with like a magic marker, or you can put a piece of black tape over it. And you have to do that because it's sensitive to light. Under certain circumstances, like if you're running a unit and you take a picture of it with a flash bulb, the light will get in here and it'll lock the computer up. Certain fluorescent lighting, if you have like a bare bones motherboard with one of these on there and you don't have it colored or darkened, that fluorescent light can get in here and wreak havoc. Now, also these units, you can put a voltmeter across them between +5 and ground, and when you put light on it, you'll get a voltage because you're dealing with just silicon cells that hold ones and zeros. And once this is programmed, it holds what you put in. This is what the firmware would be in. On motherboards, this is where your power up basic, was it BIOS, basic input output system would be stored on one of these. And these type of chips got used right in motherboards right up until past 386s, 486s, early Pentiums. Yeah, because I used to take the chip and erase it with this unit. And then somebody else would take one of my EEproms, or one of my proms from my BIOS prom, and copy it. I had a set of BIOS proms I bought that allowed you to put different hard drives in the motherboard. And my motherboard BIOS chip got copied and passed around. It was a very unique. Oh, it has self-diagnostic on there to test the memory and all that. So I bought it online, or back of a magazine. There was no online back then, and I started being able to make copies of it. At work we had a copy machine, EEprom copier, but we didn't have an eraser. So here's the eraser. Now, what's in an eraser? All right, this bulb here. All right, let me fire it up. I'm going to tell you about this bulb. I'm going to fire it up. I'm going to show you. All right, we're going to hold the button in and fire it up. All right. Now that doesn't look very. That'll ruin your eyes. I tell you right now, it's ultraviolet. It's not the ultraviolet that does the posters. It's shortwave ultraviolet. A banana. If you put a banana next to that light, parts of the banana will glow. That'll turn brown the next day. You could tell what parts of the banana are going to go bad the next day by fluorescence. This is when people say certain rocks fluoresce or minerals fluoresce. There's short wave and there's long wave. The long wave is like the one that uses posters, that does the psychedelic posters, and short wave is this one. And this one here, if you look at it, it'll kill cells in your eye. And then at 2 o'clock in the morning when you're sleeping, you'll wake up and your eyes will be burning and watering, and you'll think you have sand in your eyes, and that's because you stared at this bulb. It's a sterilizer bulb. It's used in around medicine cabinets, in hospitals, and what it does is when you close it, this light comes on and it kills the bacteria. This actual bulb is a sterilizer bulb for a tropical fish sterilizer. Years ago, you would run the saltwater tank, the water through this quartz sleeve that went over this tube, and quartz allows this wavelength to go through. Regular glass will block this wavelength to where it won't be useful. Some of it gets through. In other words, you run the water from the fish tank, and any bacteria that might hurt the saltwater fish gets sterilized so it can't reproduce. And some of it gets killed. It can't see in order to eat because its eyes get messed up. It can't see that to screw, so it can't reproduce. Sterilizer bulb. Right? Now, when you fire it up here, this is an EEprom. And when you put it in the center of this 40-pin socket, or whatever this is, it might be 224s. When you come down like this, and you push that button and turn it on, you leave it for about a half hour. Bulb's on, and it'll erase that bulb. Now, let me go a little further than other people would go. This socket, all the pins of these sockets, all the pins are tied together. Now, why? All right, as the ultraviolet hits this window, goes through, it hits those little silicon cells, the ones and zeros, the thing that holds the ones and zeros. It creates a voltage across it, and static. It's basically static in nature, and you need to discharge this chip. This chip starts becoming charged statically, and if you don't tie all the pins together, you could burn the chip out. And you go, wow, yep, it's different, okay? And this is old school EEprom, and like I was telling you, 2708, 2716. Now I believe 2708s might use a minus supply. The 2716 is when they first started using 5 volts to make it operate. See, older microprocessors, you needed minus 12, plus 12, plus 5, and minus 5. I got to think back to when I used to troubleshoot all this stuff. But in this unit there's a ballast here. This is a ballast. Now there's a resistor in there. I added that resistor because I didn't like the way this thing was treating the bulb. I think it was running it a little too hot. I didn't like the way there's filaments on the end. And you say, well, there's no filaments in the fluorescent light. Yes, there are. I'll fire this up real quick. You can see them glow real quick. Oh, all right, they're glowing. They're tilted this way. In other words, those, I don't leave it on too long, mess my eyes up. There's filaments here which preheat the gas so it'll ionize. And I think I'm covering everything pretty good. But this is a nice metal box. I put a piano hinge on it. I have holes where you can see the light come out and you can tell it's on without opening it up and messing my eyeballs up. And like I said, all these pins are all soldered together on all these rows. And that's a ground. And then as this thing gets the light on it, it's going to get statically charged. And then it can discharge through those pins. And that's where a lot of people screw up. They take one of these bulbs, one of these EEproms, they put it next to a sterilizer bulb, and it doesn't erase it correctly. It's all messed up. It could actually be burnt out. But that's all it is. This is a simple sterilizer bulb. You can find a screw-in 110 bulb from an old dryer. Dryers way back had a sterilizer bulb on it, and as the dryer would turn, it would hit the clothing in there with a sterilizer bulb, and it would help kill the bacteria. I think it also made the clothes smell fresher. Might have gave them an ozone smell to them, like after a rainstorm. I never had one in one of my dryers, but that one will work fine. Somebody was telling me the bulb didn't work right. Well, what it was is they didn't know enough to short all the pins. on those sockets. That's why. So I'm telling you the trick. Again, that's what I do. I don't just show you, yeah, I built an EEprom eraser. Ooh, I put blah, 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 like the other guys. I don't. Sterilizer bowl. Got it from a tropical fish store. And that was funny. The guy goes to me, I've never sold one of these before. I don't know what it is. So I explained to him. I said, did you ever sell a sterilizer? Oh, yeah, yeah. I said, well, one of these bulbs is inside. I said, the water runs through a type of quartz sleeve. And quartz allows this ultraviolet light, is it ultraviolet? Shortwave ultraviolet, to go through it into the water, into the salt water, and kill the bacteria. And it blinds it. In other words, it messes its eyesight up so it can't reproduce. And just years ago, that was one of the problems because you had fish that were hand caught. They would go out in I don't know if it was the Bahamas or whatever. They dive off boats, they catch the fish, they bring them back and put them in pet shops and sell them to people. So there was bacteria and stuff on the fish that could get in your fish tank and make your other fish sick. So they sold sterilizers. But I saw that bulb hanging. It's got the hook. It's hanging on a hook. It's in a sleeve. It's in a cardboard sleeve, and it's a sterilizer bulb. And I'm talking to the guy in checkout, and I'm like, I want one of them. And then he asking me, what is it? And I explain him what it is. And then I come home and I look at the wattage on the bulb and on the package, and then I knew I needed a certain ballast. And I drew this all out, and I put here's my start. Hold this in, start, and this is the stop. All right, old fashioned, no starter. I think that's it. All right, that's it.